Welcome back to Outdoor Philosophy. Well, today we're going to talk once again about cooking at home. And I know I've talked about this topic in the past, but the reason I want to bring it up is there's a channel that I watch who does a lot of budgeting and finance type stuff. Mostly I watch this channel and go, how can you do that kind of stuff? And I've actually reached out to this gentleman and said, I'm willing to help you out, point out some flaws that you probably don't see in yourself, but I have not heard anything back from him, which is sad. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about this video, because in his last budgeting video, he talked about, he wants to spend less money on food, and he's spending hundreds of dollars out in restaurants and hundreds of dollars at the grocery store, and people have left him comments to say, if you learn how to cook at home, it's actually cheaper. And he says, I don't think it is. And I'm going to say yes, it is, but I'm also going to outline a few reasons why you should cook at home. Now, I have a other channel called Home Cooking Hacks, which I do not upload a lot of videos. In fact, I think it was about a year ago since I've uploaded one. I just have other priorities, sorry, but you can actually get some good basics over there. I have ice creams and chilies and things like that, and eventually I will get to the point where I can start putting stuff back up on that channel again. I would love to. It's just that one took so much time, and I just didn't see it was something that I could turn into a long-term right this second. Down the road, yes. Right now, no. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about some of your advantages and disadvantages. As far as overall disadvantage, I don't see a lot. It can take some time to cook, but the reality is I can't think of much that I do that takes a long time outside of doing something like a chili, which just needs to cook for several hours. But you're, going down every half hour or so and stirring it. That's not exactly time intensive, and you don't even really have to do that. There's a lot of things you can throw in a crock pot and go to work and then come home and it's done when you're done. So chili is one of those. Soup is one of those that takes only about 20 minutes or so to cook, and then just 20 minutes to prep, and then cook it throughout the day, and it's completely ready when you get home from work. Baked beans also have that. So there's a lot of these factors and a lot of these things. But when we start looking at this, outside of that, one major thing is the relationship that can be built around making and preparing meals together. And if you have children or family members, include everybody in the meal making process, because it is a great way to develop those relationships. Even 5-year-olds can be given some simple task to do. It might be something as simple as washing the carrots off. Very safe. Here, go to the sink and do that. I have this weird lighting going on. Sorry for that, but anyway, we'll stick with it. But anyway, looking at all these factors, looking at all these things. What's kind of important, though, is that to build a relationship around it. Next is the health factor. When you are cooking food at home, and we're not talking about going to the store and getting stuff with barcodes and packaging that you open up and you look at the side and maybe you add an egg, a tablespoon of margarine, and throw it on a pot to simmer. We're talking really cooking at home. When you actually learn how to do that, then it can be a tremendously healthy thing. Those packaged things, not a whole lot better than basic processed foods anyway. Most of them are processed foods that you just prepare a little bit. So learn how to make things like mashed potatoes from real potatoes. Go think, Learn how to make broth, because broth is the basis to make gravies. So you can have gravies without emulsifiers and all these other things. There's a lot of things you can cook and you can make that are a lot healthier when you make them at home. And then the cheapness factor, and this is what ties us and brings us back into this discussion, because he says, I don't see how it's cheaper. Yeah, even if you're buying the processed stuff, which is what most people do when they first think about cooking at home, even that is way cheaper. I don't know what he was doing that would be more expensive. But you might have to go in there and think and plan and look around, because if you buy like 2 drumsticks, it's going to cost a lot more money. If you buy a large pack of drumsticks, where we can get them where they're 99 cents a pound, and it'll contain, I think, about 12 or 14 drumsticks in it. 99 cents a pound. They end up costing $3.52 for where I usually buy them. Under $4, let's just say about $4. And what I do then is you bring that home, you open that up, and then I use plastic food containers because I don't want to use plastic bags or things. So I just put these in plastic food containers, split it up, and that one $3.50, $4 package of chicken, which is bone-in chicken, that stuff, 2 of those is good for an adult serving. 1 of those for a child. 2 of those for an adult serving. You take those, freeze those down into those individual containers. And for a single person, and I'm single, and this guy doing these videos is single, that is 6 meals of chicken for $4. That is very cheap. And then you just learn how to spice them up. So I do my Italian seasoning, which is where I'm going to use a seasoned salt, pepper, maybe some crushed red pepper, and Italian seasoning. If you don't have Italian seasoning, oregano and basil mixed together. That is a great thing to do. Mix all those guys together and then bake that in an oven at 350 or 375 for about 45 minutes. That is not hard to do. That's not time intensive. It takes about 1 minute to prep, about 40 minutes, well, about 45 minutes or so to cook. And then you add in extra things. Get yourself a little steamer, or many of these you can boil or just sizzle in melted butter or coconut fat. Don't use Pam, don't use vegetable oils. These are not good for you. They're not healthy. But if you use butter, coconut oil, lard, those are good things that you can cook with. You can stir up broccoli, you can do beans, you can do carrots, you can do things like this. Now, here's the next step to keep your costs down. When you're done with those chicken bones, don't throw the chicken bones away. You put the chicken bones in another plastic container in the freezer. And when you have about a quart or more, maybe somewhere between 1 quart and 2 quarts. That's not right. Let's go about 3 quarts. About 3 quarts of chicken bones. Throw that in a crock pot overnight. Cover it with water. Sprinkle in some parsley, some bay leaves, a little bit of vinegar. We're talking a splash of vinegar, and let it sit overnight in a crock pot on high. You're going to have chicken broth in the morning. Now you take out all the bones. Now you throw the bones away. You filter it. Just get all the stuff out of there. And then you freeze that down in 1 cup portions. And the reason you're doing 1 cup portions is you take 1 cup of that chicken broth, mix it with 1/3. Let me make sure I get my recipe right. You're going to need 2 cups of your chicken broth, 1/3 cup of flour, 4 tablespoons of butter. Melt the butter, mix in the flour, make a paste, add your 2 cups of chicken broth to it, season it. Wow, gravy. I mean, that's how it is. And you're using all the base for that is used by the $4 chicken that you got $4 for 6 meals worth. So this is the type of stuff that you want to do. Learn how to do this. And then, of course, when you're going to the grocery store, you can usually buy crowns of broccoli for a little bit. If you want to go full on organic, it's going to cost a little bit more, but not significantly. But then what happens is then you learn that we have been conditioned to eat more, which is why we have this big obesity epidemic. Cut your portion sizes back, and you can actually learn how to actually eat right. Eat not a lot, eat not too little, eat just the right amount that you should be eating, and you're going to bring your food costs down dramatically. You can, if you get good enough, get a single person's food cost down between $100 and $150 a month, which is not all that difficult. But you learn how to cook at home, and you will open yourself up to healthier eating, better family relationships, more skill in the kitchen, better ability to think about and budget things and look in the long term. And then what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in the long run saving more money and being a lot healthier and developing better relationships in your family in the event that you have a family to share your meals with. So yes, it is a lot cheaper to eat at home. But one of the factors we have in our modern society is we are so conditioned, even cooking at home now means going to the store and getting the processed food that we add water to and let it sit on a stove for a little bit. That's not cooking at home either. Let me give you a little helping tip here. You want to make like a rice-a-roni type thing, right? Maybe you like your amazing, little amazing cheddar broccoli rice-a-roni, right? Now, I like to have chicken chunks in there. If you don't, you take that chicken broth that you made, and with that chicken broth, you're going to put in a little bit of that inside of some water, boil your rice in the chicken broth. That's all it takes to give you that chickeny flavor. And then you're going to add a little bit of spices, chop up some broccoli a little small, throw that in there, stir that around while the rice is still cooking. And then once all the water is boiled off, shred in some real cheese, not fake stuff, real cheese, stir that around. Whoa, you have cheesy rice and broccoli. Now, I like to do it with chicken. I don't usually use the chicken broth. I just boil the chicken in it. So I'll cut the chicken really small, boil it in there. Now I have chicken, broccoli, cheese, chicken, rice. And it's absolutely amazing and horrendously cheap, and all used real ingredients without fake stuff in the middle of it all. So learn how to do things like that, and take a look at the Home Cooking Hacks channel over there. If you have not looked at over there, I talk about homemade ice cream, tomato sauces, which I can use for pasta sauce, for pizza sauce. I'm experimenting right now with making salsa out of that, because almost every salsa recipe I can find is like, you know, you need tomato paste. So, okay, let's backtrack. How do we make tomato paste? Well, it's boiled down sauce. That's all it is. So we're going to be experimenting with things like that down the road as well. So have a look at that. Do yourself a favor. Learn how to cook real food. Learn how to cook real food. It's going to save you time. It's going to increase your relationships. And it's going to help you out in life in general. So thanks for coming along on this outdoor philosophy. We will see you next time.